A devastating ice storm. Find out how Baldwin EMC is lending a helping hand and the dangerous conditions they're facing next.
And then happening now, the death penalty for child sex crimes. A controversial bill on the floor today. Why some fear it could silence victims.
First on the Gulf Coast with breaking news and weather. Fox 10 News starts now.
Hi there. Thank you for looking in. It's Tuesday. I hope you're staying warm. I'm Lenise Lagan.
And I'm Shelby Myers. Thank you so much for joining us for Fox 10 News at 4. We have a lot to cover today.
Yeah, we're going to start with the weather. While we are seeing clear skies out there, the temperatures are a bit chilly.
Yeah, cold pattern locked in with us and with the sun shining. It's been so pretty, so that's the silver lining here. But we know we have to take this cold seriously, of course. And the big question here is, are we kind of going to start inching towards warmer weather, or is it just going to be colder?
You know, we will do a little better with our afternoon temperatures this week, but this weekend we may get a cold spell that's colder than the one we just experienced.
What?
Oh,
what?
Okay, that'll wake you up.
Right, possible teens by the
Wow.
weekend. First, let's
pep
talk
in
about
your
what's
step.
happening out here in the short term here. Our forecast, we will see the numbers dropping this evening, and we could be below freezing by 9 o'clock, but we'll level off there. Don't expect super cold weather tonight. We're not under any kind of cold advisories tonight. Just a light to moderate freeze because some upper level clouds will swing in overhead. So overnight lows right around 30, maybe even briefly in the upper 20s in a few spots. Here's what's ahead with the extreme cold. We're going to see that light freeze tonight. Clouds increase. The sun comes back tomorrow. It's generally going to be pretty chilly this week, but not freezing until the weekend. And then it's coming right back. We've got another cold blast on the way. Tomorrow morning's temperatures will shake out like this. We expect to be at 26 in Monroeville, 27 in Grove Hill and Calver, 29 in Mobile and Fairhope, 30 in Pensacola and 30 in Navarre. As we look at radar, not much going on. We've got a little disturbance to the west of us. It looks like it's bringing a little mixed precipitation to Texas. It's very, very light. All that should fall apart as it moves into our area, but we will see some passing clouds overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Our forecast shows clearing skies again by the middle of the day tomorrow, and that sunshine, we may actually warm up into the low 50s with our temperatures tomorrow. But the cold air comes back. We've got a couple of mornings with temperatures in the upper 20s. Friday morning, we actually have a morning low of 37, but that's temporary. Here comes the cold air in time for the weekend, and we will take a look at your forecast for Friday night's Mardi Gras Parade with the Conde Cavaliers. We'll also look at Saturday's Senior Bowl. Could be a cold one there. More on that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, Senior Bowl is coming up.
I know, and it's going to be a very cold one. I feel like usually the Senior Bowl is pretty chilly, but this may top that.
That's okay. You can layer up in all your sports gear. Get
That's
your
right.
team clothing on. All right, take a look at this. Talking about the cold. I mean, this is something we don't usually see.
No.
Icicles there. And then, wow, steam? What is it, right? Rising? Because typically the water temperature is warmer than what the air is. And I'm guessing that's what's creating this.
Yeah, so these are the scenes that we have been seeing around Mobile, and you can just feel the cold in these pictures, especially the ice on the fountain at Bienville Square. I mean, that's not something you see all the time, just hanging, dripping down off the fountain. In some places, they shut their fountains completely off. This one is still going, not completely frozen over, but those icicles sure do make it look really, really chilly out there, Lenise.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of the cold temperatures out there, crews leaving Summerdale this morning, heading to Mississippi. They're going to help thousands of people in Oxford who are without power. Let's go to our Stephen Moody, who was there as dozens of Baldwin EMC workers started that trip.
Baldwin EMC's coming. We're heading your way today.
Help is on the way for the thousands of people in Oxford still without power, thanks to a combination of snow and ice. And as they navigate through the conditions, Baldwin EMC plans to do so safely and efficiently.
The very top tier is safety. You can't sacrifice safety for production. Like, it's just, you can't do it. And working in frozen conditions just elevates everything. You got to take it as it comes.
Efficiency is the main key. Teamwork. Whenever we go in front of the linemen, they'll come in, ground everything out for us, and that's when we go in and clear the way so they can come in, set poles, pull wire, and get the members turned back on.
And they'll face problems that we're maybe not used to here in our area of the Gulf Coast.
I think one of the biggest concerns we'll have on this is usually the trees. Trees do whatever they want. whenever they want to do it, when ice starts melting and refreezing. There's nothing you can do about it.
And when asked about why this is important, they said they'd never hesitate to lend a helping hand, especially since they know that others would do the same for us.
You know, in times like this, I've seen what happens when we have hurricanes here and the amount of assistance and help that we get throughout the whole process. And to have sister co-ops that can come in and lend a helping hand, many hands make light work. So it just helps things go a lot smoother.
Stephen Moody, Fox 10 News.
Well, at its peak, the storm knocked out power for more than 1 million electric customers amid bone-chilling cold. And at this hour, crews are still working to restore that power.
Yeah, it's a difficult task, and the most significant infrastructure damage was across a swath of the South where that ice just made the roads really slippery and then snapping the tree limbs, weighing down power lines. Let's take a look at Nashville, where Nashville Electric Services tells us that at its peak, 230,000 people were without electricity, Shelby, in this cold.
I mean, that is just unfathomable. You think of this when we have hurricanes and tornadoes that knock out our power, but this is just a whole other ball game. It's cold, so you're cold inside too. And although crews are working long hours to restore all of this electricity, there are still challenges, of course. In Mississippi, spokespeople say it is a similar struggle.
Our biggest focus is the northern portions of the state that have been hit so hard and still dealing with the lingering effects of this cold weather. My fear is that this ice event will be larger than that one in '94. My hope is that our restoration efforts and abilities have increased fourfold, but this will be an extended recovery.
Yeah, and talking about that historic ice storm in 1994, it took 23 days to fully restore power. You mentioned hurricanes, and a friend of mine in Greenville was talking about how when Helene came through there and knocked down a lot of the trees, they've got snow there right now, and it was actually helpful that Helene came through because now people would be in the cold.
Yeah.
You know, it's more bearable to deal with when you don't have AC in the summer months, but not in the cold when you don't have heat.
Yeah, just a wild situation that so many people are going through. They don't typically see this kind of weather, so they're not prepared.
And it's a lot of places seeing it. All right, 2 projects in Mobile getting a boost today. The planned Brookley by the Bay Waterfront Park and Cooper Riverside Park along Mobile Bay.
The Mobile City Council formally accepting grant money for both projects. Let's go to our Brendan Kirby, who's at the News Center with more on all of this. Brendan.
Well, Shelby and Lenise, the money comes from the Gulf of America Energy Security Act, or GOMESA. This is revenue from oil and gas leases that's shared with the coastal states. Today's vote paves the way for $3.5 million in GOMESA funds for Brookley by the Bay, which the city one day hopes to develop into a park. The grant will be used for a 1-mile access road from Broad Street and a bike and pedestrian path that will run along the old Bayfront Road to the park. The council today also considered a contract to design that road. A vote on that's expected next week. The second vote today was to accept $4 million of GOMESA funds for Cooper Riverside Park. Work is nearing completion to replace the bulkhead separating the park from the Mobile River. A renovation of the park itself should be completed by spring, and improvements are underway to renovate the bathrooms that date to before Hurricane Katrina. The GOMESA funding will pay to extend a walkway that's eventually going to run from the National Maritime Museum of the Gulf to a planned private mixed-use development known as Mobile Riverwalk. Jennifer Green, Mobile's Director of Programs and Project Management, says construction should start in about a year on both the access road and the elevated boardwalk along the Mobile River.
We'll be doing it all together. That's what my department does, complex projects. It's a long-term project with design and then finding the money and putting it out to bid for construction. So this is just another one of those projects, and I know we're going to do it.
Brookley by the Bay is a much longer range project. City leaders envision picnic areas, children play areas, a beach along Mobile Bay, and a boat launch. They say that development will occur as the funding becomes available. Reporting live in the News Center, Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 News.
New now at 4, the death penalty for certain child sex abuse crimes is a step closer to becoming law. Alabama's House of Representatives voting in the past 2 hours to pass House Bill 41. Now that would make the death penalty an option for those convicted of rape, sodomy, or sexual torture of a child less than 12 years old. Our Alabama political correspondent Jessica Umbro joining us right now outside the State House. And Jessica, talk about what lawmakers had to say about this bill.
This bill was split really on party lines, and a lot of the discussion in the House chamber was focused on the constitutionality of this bill. So the Supreme Court ruled nearly 2 decades ago that you could not execute someone for a crime where a life was not taken. So in cases like outlined in House Bill 41. However, Republicans say that this bill is a part of a larger effort at trying to get the Supreme Court to change that 2008 decision. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say that they want to make sure that those who do these crimes, those who are convicted of child sex abuse crimes, are prosecuted and punished to the full extent of the law. Republicans said making capital punishment an option in these cases would do that, and the death penalty is the appropriate punishment. However, Democrats said they feel like life without parole is the proper punishment, and they say it's one that would not have to go through the legal hurdles that adopting House Bill 41 could bring. Sponsor Representative Matt Simpson says other states like Florida are already trying to take this issue up with the Supreme Court with their own versions of this bill. So he says Alabama may not have to take on the financial burden in the legal battle to make the bill enforceable. However, Democrats said they do not want to be passing bills that are unconstitutional.
Every day that we can't punish those people, more and more of this stuff will occur. I feel really confident about where we stand with the Supreme Court. I think that there is a very strong chance for this to be heard.
The analysis and the argument is flawed because it's not just unusual, it's also cruel. And ultimately, you're going to have to convince the Supreme Court that putting someone to death that did not murder or take somebody else's life is not cruel.
Democratic Representative Ontario Tillman sponsored an amendment that would have changed the wording of House Bill 41, making it so that life without parole was a requirement for those who commit these crimes. However, that amendment was not passed. It would have taken out the part about capital punishment being an option, so it ultimately did not pass by a pretty commanding vote. Live in Montgomery, Jessica Umbro, Fox 10 News.
All right, Jessica, and on that note, House Bill 41 is headed to the Senate.
The latest fatal shooting by federal agents in Minneapolis has increased the odds of a government shutdown. Some Democrats now refusing to support funding for the Department of Homeland Security, while Republicans need bipartisan support to keep several key government agencies open. Brian Abel is in Washington with the latest as lawmakers face a midnight Friday deadline.
Escalating tensions between the community and federal immigration authorities in Minneapolis, now creating a battle over government funding on Capitol Hill. That could lead to a partial shutdown.
What we're witnessing right now is it's completely out of control.
The fatal shooting of Alex Preddy by federal agents appears to be the tipping point for some Democrats who are vowing to withhold votes on an appropriations package for multiple government agencies, including the Departments of Defense, Transportation, and Homeland Security, unless DHS reins in its immigration enforcement actions.
We need systemic changes here before we move forward with the appropriations.
The Democratic caucus calling for DHS funding to be separated from the other funding bills.
Take up DHS by itself. Let's have an honest negotiation, put some guardrails on what's going on, some accountability, and that would solve this problem. We don't have to have a shutdown.
The White House, so far, isn't on board.
Policy discussions on immigration in Minnesota are happening. Look, the president is leading those discussions, but that should not be at the expense of government funding for the American people.
If all Senate Republicans vote yes, they need at least 8 Democrats to join them to get the funding passed. But if the sides cannot come together by midnight Friday, once again, thousands of government workers across agencies, from the Pentagon to air traffic controllers to TSA, will be impacted. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
All right, looking at the roadways right now, I like this, dry roadways across the Gulf Coast. We had all this cold air, and it's just cold. And the wind's a little lighter today, too, which has helped us out a lot. And checking out the traffic situation, I'm not seeing any major delays. Westbound I-10 tunnel, a little slow. Eastbound, no problems. Everything looks good across the Bayway, the Causeway, I-65 north and southbound in Mobile and over to Pensacola. But we're going to check it again as we get closer to that 5 o'clock rush hour. And I'll have your forecast, too, coming up.
Thanks, Jason. We'll check in with you later. Hope for All Gulf Coast is hosting its annual point-in-time count. Now, this is part of an effort to gather data on homelessness in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Organizers say it helps them to understand the needs of those without housing. It's a large initiative, and it's possible because of all the volunteers that come out.
I think it's interesting. I think it's, knowledgeable to go out and learn, the plights of other people, and to realize that just because people are in certain situations don't make them any less of a person, and to see the human side of people, and, just to go out and help.
Volunteers will be conducting surveys throughout the day to provide insight on the number of individuals experiencing homelessness. It's a crucial step in securing resources and funding. Ahead on Fox 10 News at 4, a new initiative in Alabama aims to bring home missing children and vulnerable adults. Alabama's Cold Case Advocacy is launching Operation Safe Return. That's a statewide public awareness campaign, how you can help, coming up in a live studio interview. But first, take a live look outside. Sunny and bright and chilly as well. It's all relative. We say chilly. But consider this fun fact. The coldest temperature ever officially recorded was 89.2 degrees Celsius. That is negative 89.2 degrees Celsius. That information comes from the National Geographic. Welcome back. Advocating for those without a voice. That is the goal of the Alabama Cold Case Advocacy Group. So here to talk about that cause and how you can get involved is Carrie New. Thank you for stopping by the studio.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I think people's ears perk up whenever they hear cold case. There is a vested interest in that. Whether you knew someone who was the victim of a cold case, I think it's just that curiosity of wanting to know how it all works. So tell me about the group.
So we started initially in 2022 as basically a social media based effort just to help raise awareness for these cases. There's a lot of times where the cases actually are out there, they're in the news cycle a whole lot when they first happen, and then it kind of cycles out as new news comes in, and people are left kind of wondering, or they think, oh, that must mean it's solved, and that's not true. And so it was kind of what's the best way to help families keep their victims, their loved ones in the public eye, and it's social media, because everybody gets their news these days from some version of social media, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or YouTube. And so that's how it started. And then in 2023, we got our nonprofit status. Awesome. And so we work collaboratively with law enforcement agencies and families just kind of to boost media awareness, public outreach efforts, and help get information to the agencies. People sometimes are just, they don't like to contact the police. They don't want to be involved in that aspect of it, but they'll send the information in. So it's kind of like, if there's not a way for them to get the information in without having to send it to themselves, send it to us and we'll send it in for you.
There are a lot of agencies that offer anonymous tips. I'm glad that you talked about the collaborative effort between your group and law enforcement. We were also talking about how podcasts are really helping a lot these days.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you need a certain level of morbid curiosity because you need people to listen. And that's how you put, as long as it's done in a responsible way, where you're putting out truthful and accurate information, then you have a better chance of reaching somebody that has that key piece of information that investigators need. And when they hear that and they're like, wait a second, I know about this, then they call it in. And so Dr. Rush out of South actually sent me a podcast, an article link this morning about a podcast from Louisiana, and they had just made an arrest in it like a month ago. Yeah. And so one of the most important things, though, is making sure that the way you are advocating for cases is responsible. You don't want to do anything that is going to interfere or obstruct or anything like that. You don't want to put, that's why the collaborative relationships with the law enforcement agencies are so important, because we want to work alongside them. We don't want to take their place. We're not investigators. We can't reopen a case. But we like having that relationship to offer support services like our billboards that we're doing with Operation Safe Return.
I wish we had more time. There's so much information that I would like to get from you. From getting justice for families and that closure for them as well when you're able to solve a case. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add as people are watching that you want them to take away from this conversation?
You can follow us on social media pages, but anytime you like or share those posts, it boosts. Algorithms are crazy, and it helps boost how many people are seeing this. It boosts the reach.
And it only takes that one person.
It takes one person.
Yep.
And just like with the billboards, when you have that many people that are passing by, you are more likely to reach someone. So if you are talking about a case, if you're sharing it, you're helping increase those chances that a family is going to finally get those answers they've been looking for.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Thank you for the efforts that you guys are putting in. I wish we had more time to chat.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be sure to post this information on our website along with a link to the organization so you can follow along and help out. Look for that shortly after this newscast on fox10tv.com. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Outside right now in downtown Mobile, our all-in credit union camera looks good out over the bay, and we're not seeing any significant weather right now other than it's significantly chilly outside right now. We're at 46 degrees. Winds are out of the east at 5, and we've still got a little bit of a wind chill. Feels like 44 with a wind chill, but that's way better than it was this morning. Our satellite radar picture here shows a little increase in cloud cover that's starting to push in from the west, and that'll happen overnight tonight, but these are thin mid and upper level clouds, so we're not expecting much rain out of these clouds. And as we look at the futurecast, that little batch of cloud cover should be getting past us tomorrow by lunchtime. We'll clear out for the rest of the day on your Wednesday. We'll see a similar situation on Thursday, a few passing clouds. We'll call it partly cloudy with quiet weather. And we are poised to have to interact with another dry, cold air mass. You can see on Friday maybe a few isolated showers in the area as a little system moves across the northern Gulf. Right now, if we see anything, it looks like just plain rain and just some passing showers. It'll move through very quickly. Saturday, the cold blast back in the area. It's going to be windy all day, all the wintry weather north and east of us up into the Carolinas, and we're just going to get the cold air in time for Senior Bowl weekend. All right, tonight's lows. This is an improvement. We're not going to be in the teens tonight. We're looking at moderate freezing temperatures tonight. 30 Coden, 27 in Theodore, 29 in Mobile, 26 in Bay Minette, and 27 in Foley. And checking it out for the Northwest Florida Panhandle, 30 in Pensacola and Navarre, 29 in Niceville, 26 in Crestview, and Walnut Hill at 26. As we get further to the north here, you can see temperatures in the mid-20s in Monroeville, 27 in Jackson and McIntosh, 28 in Chatham. And the conditions over towards the Mississippi coast, 31 in Pascagoula. A little bit colder, 27 in Lucedale with some passing clouds overnight tonight. Friday evening, we've got a Mardi Gras parade in downtown Mobile, the first big one, the Condies, and it's going to be tough. 42 degrees, dry, blustery, and a wind out of the north at 20, giving us a wind chill around 30 degrees or lower for the Condies. And for Senior Bowl on Saturday, we could be looking at a game time temperature. This is not the morning temperature. This is the game time temperature at 1:30 in the afternoon, 35 degrees. Wind chills 20 to 25 at Senior Bowl based on what we're seeing right now, and it's going to be windy. So your forecast looks quiet this week. We'll get lucky enough to hit the mid-50s in the afternoons, but it turns cold Friday night down to 20, 35 on Saturday. Saturday night, 17. This cold spell will be colder than the one we just had, and we should be in the mid-20s even into Sunday night. So this is something we've got to prepare for. More cold air on the way for the Gulf Coast.
All right, Jason, thank you. Holocaust survivors, politicians, and the public gather in Auschwitz to commemorate International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Auschwitz was under German occupation during World War II, Nazi Germany killing roughly 1.1 million people there, most of whom were Jewish, but also many others.
Polish President Karol Nawrocki was seen laying a candle at the memorial. 96-year-old Holocaust survivor Bernard Offen spoke at the ceremony. He warned against indifference in the face of modern-day hatred and violence.
I'm almost 97 years young, and I'm a survivor of 5 camps, including this one. The Holocaust showed me how awful human beings can be, but also, more importantly, how caring, courageous, and empathetic we can be, we must be. As I look at contemporary times, I see many signs I know all too well. I see hatred resurgent. I see violence beginning to be justified once again. I say this because I am an old man who has seen where indifference leads to. And I say this because I believe. I truly believe that we can choose differently.
Candles were lit at the Memorial to the Murdered Jews of Europe. It's a place of remembrance for the nearly 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust.
A music legend gone too soon. He was a Grammy-winning reggae icon whose drum work shaped the sound of countless hits. From Bob Marley to the Rolling Stones, find out more about the incredible legacy of Sly Dunbar next.
Lexus of Mobile is proud to sponsor the Fox 10 Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Fox 10 Pledge of Allegiance, sponsored by Lexus of Mobile.
The music world is mourning the death of Grammy-winning reggae legend Sly Dunbar.
Dunbar's wife told a Jamaican publication he was found unresponsive Monday morning. He is most known for his rhythm and drum work with the late Robbie Shakespeare in the prolific reggae duo Sly and Robbie.
Dunbar's work casting really a wide net, working with legends including Bob Marley, Peter Tosh. He collaborated with artists like Bob Dylan, Rolling Stones, and Grace Jones.
Sly and Robbie released more than 30 albums as a duo, picking up 2 Grammy Awards along the way. No cause of death was given. Dunbar was 73 years old.
That sound will last forever, though. Apple TV's Shrinking is back. Have you seen this one?
I have not.
Okay, I started it 3 episodes in. It's kind of funny. Fox caught up with the tight-knit cast as they reunite on the screen for season 3.
Okay, they talked about how they make each other laugh and what they take away being part of a show about mental health. Let's go to Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Ta-da! The GOAT is back.
It's time for another session full of heart and humor on Apple TV's Shrinking.
Bill Lawrence says the theme for this season is moving on, and that's how the writers wrote it. And I think they did it so beautifully.
The stars immediately start cracking each other up.
I wish you could be a fly on the wall and watch rehearsal. It's some of the most fun is when we get together and come up with how the scene's going to play.
It's a success if they make the crew laugh.
We have a really funny crew. Sometimes they throw out jokes, which never happens, and they're like funny and good, and we'll just use them. For me, they're a great barometer.
Along with rogue improv, everyone is breaking.
You have Jessica and Ted just straight off, just firing these one-liners, trying to see whose gut's gonna pop first. And usually it's mine.
Come on! Ted McGinley will say something. He's the secret improviser because Jessica Williams is like a brilliant improviser.
Ted nonstop is pulling some crazy hilarious line or gesture or facial expression out.
I'm the least disciplined member of the cast, is all that really means. Jessica, if you just stand next to her, she just rips you.
Given it's a show about mental health, the cast says there are lessons learned along the way, too.
The material is inspiring. Fans have told me, they got into therapy or this particular moment helped them with something.
The field is real.
My character doesn't know about the field, but the way that Harrison explains the field, they really got in there.
You're not entertained?
Shrinking Season 3 starts January 28th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Season 3. Things go by so fast.
I'm going to be honest.
We're done with Stranger Things.
I know Stranger Things over. I've never even heard of this show, and it's already on its 3rd season.
Really?
But I don't have Apple TV.
Yeah.
I know. They're really killing it with the TV shows lately, I hear.
Yeah, they are.
Some good ones.
Pluribus and Victoria, what's my other favorite one?
There's
on Apple TV. Severance.
In
Yes.
Silos on Apple TV. I heard that was good.
They have a lot of stuff. The Morning Show, I think, but I've not watched that either. All right. Enough of that, because up next, we're going to dive into the big breaking stories that we're working on for your most local news at 5.
And then this.
It's important to have strong, healthy bones, especially in the winter.
Feeling tired, achy, or just a little down this winter?
Yeah, it could be more than the winter blues. We'll talk about a crucial vitamin your body might be lacking when the sun isn't shining as much.
Committed to you. This is Fox 10 News.
Let's go ahead now and take a look at the stories we're working on for your most local news at 5. First, a mother and stepfather facing child abuse charges in Mobile County, and they were in court today.
Yeah, the sheriff's office says they found their teen daughter living alone. We'll have new details from that preliminary hearing. Plus, the city of Mobile nearing a complete rewrite of its animal control ordinances, the changes that could be presented to city council in the next few weeks. And we'll have an update about the Baldwin County trash can that somehow ended up in England. It's a story many people are talking about on social media. We're going to tell you about the search for its original owner now. Those stories and more are coming up in a little more than 20 minutes now on Fox 10 News at 5.
All right, let's see what's happening out there right now, and it looks good. We're dealing with some chilly weather today, and the numbers will drop pretty quickly tonight. We'll level off around 30 degrees in most spots tonight with some 20s in the inland spots, but it's not going to be as cold as what we've been seeing. We're keeping an eye on that here on our Fox 10 weather wrap. We've got your morning lows for tomorrow morning, and they look better, but still below freezing with a light to moderate freeze in a lot of spots. 28 in Chatham, 26 Monroeville, 27 in Leakesville and Lucedale, 29 Mobile and Fairhope, 30 in Pensacola and Navarre tonight, 29 in Gulf Shores. Tomorrow in Pensacola, out the door temperatures, we're going to see cold weather to start the day, a light freeze, 31 at 7 a.m. with a few scattered clouds. We should make it into the low 50s tomorrow, and that may feel almost warm to you in the wake of what we've been seeing. And we'll do that in Mobile as well, with temperatures starting out at 30 in the morning with a light breeze. By the afternoon, we do expect to see temperatures up into the lower 50s. Our futurecast indicates that we will get a little bit of cloud cover coming in tonight. That's one of the reasons why it's not going to be as cold tonight. We don't see any precipitation, but we are looking at the potential for some cloud cover spreading across our sides through early tomorrow morning. It should be rather thin. Looking at our forecast, we are trending away from the cold and more towards partly cloudy skies on Thursday with a high of 56, 55 on Friday, maybe an isolated shower. The next cold blast comes in time for the weekend. I'll have more on that in your complete outlook coming up.
The FDA says Keurig is recalling about 1,000 cartons of its K-Cups, and you're looking at the affected recall right here on your screen. It's the McCafe Premium Roast Decaf coffee. The FDA says the pods might contain caffeine, so you might get an unexpected boost. The affected cartons contain 84 K-Cups, and they have a best by date of November 17th of this year.
The new assigned seating policy for Southwest Airlines goes into effect for flights today. Travelers can pick their seats in advance for an extra charge on flights.
Yeah, purchase options include the ability to select seats with more legroom. Other flyers will be assigned a seat when they check in.
It's a big change for the airline, which used to let passengers choose any open seat once they boarded. The boarding process will also change.
Before, passengers' boarding position was based on their frequent flyer status when they checked in and whether they purchased one of those preferred boarding add-ons. Now the airline is going to board by group, like all the other carriers do.
The airline started booking tickets under the new policy in July for flights beginning Tuesday. Researchers say dozens of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention databases are not being updated. A report finds almost half of the databases the CDC used to update consistently have been paused without notice. At the start of 2025, the CDC regularly maintained 82 databases, updating them at least every month. By the end of October, 38 were not updated at all, and 34 had no new entries for the past 6 months. 90% of the paused databases were related to vaccinations.
A new study is looking to a virus that is found in cats, and they're wondering if it could help answer questions to similar conditions found in humans, including long COVID.
This is interesting. Feline infectious peritonitis, a disease caused by feline coronavirus, is deadly if not treated. Scientists initially believed the virus only infected one type of immune cell.
This new study, led by veterinarians, found they actually multiply and infect a range of immune cells critical for fighting infection. Traces of the virus can remain in the immune system after treatment, which could explain why some infections cause long-term immune issues.
And now they're taking it one step further. While that disease only affects cats, researchers say it shares many similarities with other inflammatory conditions in humans like long COVID.
So this study will help us further analyze or understand the pathophysiology or the pathology of the disease, and probably some fine day we'll also be able to find a cure for the disease, probably make a vaccine out of this finding. So that should be the goal coming from now,
Researchers also uncovered viral material inside several cells, which can help the immune system fight infected cells.
It's called a nutrient of concern in the CDC's dietary guidelines for Americans. Vitamin D, it's a critical part of overall health, and it can be acquired through safe sun exposure. But when it's cold outside, experts say maintaining proper levels just gets harder. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has symptoms of vitamin D deficiency and tips on how to replenish this important nutrient, even in the winter.
It's critical for strong, healthy bones. Your body can absorb vitamin D from the sun, but in the winter, that's not always easy.
Less sunshine means less vitamin D.
Dr. Neha Viez with Cleveland Clinic says low levels can lead to deficiency. Symptoms may include fatigue, bone pain, muscle weakness, and mood changes.
But if you are having any of those, then talk to your doctor about maybe getting checked for vitamin D deficiency.
If cold weather allows, Via says help maintain vitamin D levels by going outside for about 15 minutes most days of the week, or a little longer if an underlying medical condition prevents proper absorption. The nutrient can also be found naturally in foods like eggs, fatty fish, as well as fortified cereals and juices. She says taking vitamin D supplements can also help, especially if a medical condition is causing low levels.
But definitely talk to your doctor to see if you need a level drawn or whether you need supplementation.
The CDC says vitamin D deficiency may also raise the risk of falling, and this time of year, so can the weather.
We don't want them to fracture a bone, so it's important to have strong, healthy bones, especially in the winter.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Final Approach, Thursday at 9 on Fox 10 News and the Fox 10 Gulf Stream.
All right, cold weather is about to come back, but tonight it will not be as cold as last night. So we are going to be below freezing tonight, but it will be a light freeze across many spots with a moderate freeze in the inland areas presently. We're in the 40s. Never really made it to 50 in most spots today. Grove Hill is at 44, Evergreen's at 44. We're at 47 in Mobile. We've got 46 in Milton. These are our current conditions, and it's about to go down from here. We expect to drop down into the upper 20s tonight, upper 20s on Thursday night, and then Friday we do a little better with that morning temperature, and it may fool you a little bit because by Friday evening it will get blustery and cold, and Saturday morning and Sunday morning actually could be a little colder than the last couple of mornings, with another Arctic air mass coming down in time for the weekend. Unfortunately, these Arctic air masses are coming down with almost no precipitation in our local area, so just going to be cold. That's the forecast. Here's what's happening. We've got some clouds scooting in from the west, mainly mid and upper level clouds. They'll be with us tonight. They keep our temperatures up a little bit. Checking out any possibility of precipitation this week. Those clouds push to the east. We have mostly sunny skies to finish the day Wednesday. Occasional clouds around on Thursday, but no precip. And then taking it forward into Friday, we got a little system coming by that might bring us a couple of isolated showers. On Friday, rain chance is low. It should be mainly rain, and then it pushes past us, blows up into a big winter storm for the Carolinas, and we just get the cold air on the back side of it, which will be here for Friday night and Senior Bowl Saturday. Our forecast lows tomorrow morning will be like this. We expect to make it into the upper to middle 20s in the inland spots. 27 Evergreen, 26 Atmore, 27 in Lucedale, 29 in Mobile and Fairhope, 30 in Pensacola. Then we've got some stuff to talk about for the weekend. The Conde Cavaliers on Friday evening, 42 with the wind chill near 30, winds out of the north at 20. A blustery night for a parade, but it will be dry. The Senior Bowl, it looks like a tough one for us. We're talking a high of 35 on Saturday, wind chills 20 to 25 for Senior Bowl. So if you're making Senior Bowl plans, be thinking about how you're going to stay warm because it does look cold. We'll have overnight lows Saturday night down to 17 and a high of only 42 on Sunday. It's a battle. Another round of cold air is on the way.
The Dragon Parade is one of Mobile's most popular Mardi Gras events. The newest episode of Unwritten Legends of the Gulf Coast is how the Mystics of Time's Dragon Parade has evolved over the decades.
We found Herb Jenke and Royal Artist in New Orleans, and we brought them over. And the big transition in the shapes, and you can see behind me, this the first one in 1948 kind of looked like a big worm, but now you've got this head and the shapes and the 3D, and they changed us over to canvas and easy to repair, easy to shape. Heads and all can be built here, or they can be built in New Orleans and brought over, so there's a lot more artwork that goes into this.
The full Dragon Parade episode of Unwritten Legends of the Gulf Coast is available free on the Fox 10 Gulf stream. Download the app on your Roku, Fire TV, Apple, or Android TV.
Well, they call themselves underdogs, but this college wrestling team is ready to bite. Find out how this unique squad is grappling their way to the top next.
Today on the good side, a college wrestling program in St. Louis was built on grit, but then defined by heart.
I love it. A new presence is helping the team find confidence and adding some much needed bite to their routine.
Let's go to the mat.
A college wrestling room is a place of dedication and hard work. And when it comes to the Maryville Saints, they work like dogs, underdogs to be exact.
We got a little chip on our shoulders.
No matter what ranking, no matter who we verse, we're gonna make some noise out there.
No one counts us in, and we prefer it that way.
So we will be a big problem for them.
Last year, senior Cole Ritter was seeded 5th at the national championships.
Your 174-pound D2 national champion.
But he wrote his own underdog script by taking gold. Ryan Herman, now on the Saints coaching staff, also finished at the top of the medal stand. Those finishes shaped the Saints' start to the season.
We have a group that's less comfortable being mediocre. You know, they have higher expectations for themselves.
So if your mascot is a dog and you call yourself the underdogs, it's only fitting to have a team dog.
He's the spirit of the team.
When you play with him, he gets after it too, just like we get after it on the mat.
Just having him around is kind of like lightens everybody's mood. And
Bo was rescued from the side of the highway.
Chances of him really finding a good home, you know, and being with us is slim to none.
And exemplifies this team's attitude.
Bo coming off the streets and coming in here and immediately starting to make a name for himself, kind of is how Maryville Wrestling is.
Maryville Wrestling has also been a place of refuge for 2 Saints grapplers from war-torn countries, Ukraine and Afghanistan.
We just have a lot of different guys from a lot of different places, a lot of different backgrounds. I think that's pretty cool.
The Saints are a cohesive pack, dialed in on one end result.
Even if it's just like wrestling or schoolwork or even just being a better person, everybody tries to improve everybody.
We're all here for one goal, and that's to win national championship.
1, 2, 3, dogs.
Everyone likes a dog.
First on the Gulf Coast with breaking news and weather. Fox 10 News starts now.
It is a historic ice storm, and so this is the largest single outage in NES history.
Crews are working to restore power across much of the south after a massive storm dumped snow and ice across much of the lower 48.
We've seen the coldest weather for now, but